Hello, everyone. My name is MKJR, or at least that's what I'm calling myself here. And right now, we got a new Volvo, the Volvo EX30. Now, the EX30 is the most compact offering that they're providing in North America, at least. And it is heavily influenced by their ownership in BYD. And why do I say that? Why does that matter? Because it's only 35 grand. This is not 35 grand after tax incentives. It's not. There's no tax incentives because it's going to be made in China. That for a lot of people probably is a good thing because of price. If you look up in their market over there, if you follow some of their stuff, they have a bit of a significant price difference than we have here at home. So them bringing this over to market is a pretty solid move. Now, that's kind of the watermark of this car. It starts at 35 grand or 34 950, really right under, but it generally looks pretty good, right? So the outside of all the Volvos still carry on that Thor's hammer design, and this one is a little butch little fella. They stopped doing the continuous backlight. They've separated in two, kind of like the Polestar 1 in the back, how they kind of started that trend with this little light there, an homage of their classic rear light design. Now, it's a SUV. It's a small one. Think, I don't know, Bolt size or just BMW X1, X3. So it's compact and it's small, but this is, at an interesting point. This would probably have competition with the Model Y, the BMW i3, I guess, would be kind of competition. The Bolt, which is no longer for this world, at least new, right? And this has a price that kind of puts it in line with some of the competitors that are non-luxury. Most people right now have been doing this thing where they are trying to go up market. Mazda wants to go up market, and every manufacturer when it comes to electric cars wants to be up market. The Mustang Mach-E before tax incentives, at least last time I checked, was dogs. Yeah. Yeah, it's a casual format. It's meant to just be conversational. Okay. Yeah. The Mustang Mach-E, for example, starts about 45 grand, goes way more. You get the tax incentives, though, with the Mustang. Car that doesn't get tax incentives, at least right now, that this competes with is the Ioniq 5. That thing starts in the 40s, and that's a non-luxury brand. Now, most people may not think of Volvo as like an A-tier luxury. It's not the first thing on their head. Yeah. Most people may not think of Volvo as like A-tier luxury. It's not the first thing that comes to mind when they think of a luxury car. I think a lot of people will acknowledge it is, or they see it and they look nice. They're very sharp and handsome. But at the price that they're with for this vehicle, it's more like an internal combustion engine car's price that just so happens to be electric. And I think for a lot of people that, once the hype goes away after every new electric car, which I think will become the norm, price points like this are going to be very important, especially with decent range. Another car that's more expensive than this is the Toyota Subaru collaboration, the Toyota BZ4X. That's more expensive than this. So to put that price in context, this brings a luxury car from a established manufacturer at the low end of other cars, and will make people kind of think, why would I get this car from this other brand, Hyundai or Chevy or Ford, that may have some worse stigmas, and I can get something a little bit more unique, more modern. And honestly, a lot of people that buy electric cars, we're a little bit more technical inclined, want to look in trend at times. But this car does that and shows in fashion, right? It's in fashion. It looks good, but this really tries to go with the environmentally friendly crowd. Kind of trying to pick up on Model 3 sales for people that may have some reservations about Tesla, and there's many things to have reservations about. One thing they did take from them is, first off, they have a gorgeous interior. So nice that I did not notice the lack of gauge cluster. That's what they took from Tesla there. Probably not the worst thing in the world. I do not like how it takes up so much space on the top of the touchscreen. So that's going to constantly be there, kind of robbing you of that real estate. It looks like a nice screen. Pretty good quality. It's Android based, so it should be better than a lot of things in the late teens, early 20s. This will probably be a very good display, but having only the display here is probably a bit of a downside. I do think the Android-based display will be pretty good, and it'll hold up way better than some of the competition, but I don't think it's top of the line with the hardware so much that it won't go out of style. Another thing to go on just about the screen. I know it's the main real estate that you see and control. That's why I'm bringing it up first, because all the buttons right here on the steering wheel are all haptic. So you have a plethora of no, not a plethora. You have a complete lack of physical interface, similar to this generation Model 3. The Model 3 though is going to get worse. Don't worry, they're committed on that, and they're gonna this is not the worst design, but this is going to be a little inconvenient, very tech heavy, a little overwhelming for most people when everything's through the screen. The learning curve is going to be pretty big. They are really into the environmentally friendly aspects of this. They said even with their manufacturing plant, they're trying to take that in effect, and all the ethically sourced materials and labor standards, stuff like that. And, I do hope that's true. I don't know. I don't believe that China is the best regulated place in the world for manufacturing standards and quality of life, but versus some places in the world, I think maybe that they can pull it off, and those people are under good conditions, and I hope they are. They deserve to be, but and paid better too. But there's a reason why it's 35 grand, right? At least starting off. But the materials throughout are supposedly pretty good, and Volvo's, in my opinion, do have good materials. They have great ergonomics. They don't skimp out on the design of the seats, for example, even the headrest, the lumbar support. Everything about Volvo seats I do really enjoy, and I think for a commuter car, this is going to be very comfortable. It is a very Spartan design like the Model 3, but it has a lot of Scandinavian touches. It has this design on this material right here on the side of the doors through the dashboard. A little bit of glitter, a little bit of color, and very simple but very plush looking interior. I do think that for a lot of people, they will get into this car and be impressed by how well it looks. And I do think it will be a little shallow because of the lack of physical interfaces and how there will be a little bit of that curve of learning it and the lack of convenience and the issues with screen operated devices sometimes just not working all the time, taking a little while to boot up, a little bit of lag, glitch here and there. That's going to be a problem on this device, especially with this car, not device, but Freudian slip there. It is more like a device. The steering wheel with the touch buttons is kind of like a cheap air fryer. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think it'll have haptics to it, and I think they're going to be pretty good. And they are fairly far away from the area that your hand actually rests on. So hopefully with normal interaction, when you're just pushing around, you won't accidentally interact. However, what I'm alluding to with the interface with touch buttons like this, when I was like interested in the Golf GTI, and I was devastated that they did this, is because it's not so much that they don't work. They do work. They do have some feedback a lot of the times, right? Especially if they're backlit, they're just fine. However, I already have issues just pressing buttons on the steering wheel and getting the right one all the time. There's a skip button and there's a source right by it. You may hit the source sometimes. There's certain areas you're pressing just because of the familiarity of the buttons, you can have that issue. On a haptic, you have no indication by, a physical wheel in the middle or the seams between different buttons. That's going to be a little bit of a quality of life issue, but I do trust their safety systems to kind of keep you in check and compensate for it. I do trust Volvo with their stuff, mainly because of their reputation and how long they've been at it. I haven't used much of the modern Volvos. The last one I've gone is the Polestar 2. Didn't own it, but drove it. Their packaging in that car was a little bit worse, a little bit more cramped. I don't know if it's in the same plant, but it's made in the same country as well, and maybe at the same plant as the Polestar 2. But it looks a little bit more spacious by pictures in the interface. The overall design of it looks great, but they're trying to do this little rugged edition one, or they're teasing it at least. I'm not sure if that's smart. You might have seen some content creators go over some stuff with electric cars towing things or having any bit more drag than normal. They do so much to avoid drag that this roof rack is going to be just a big wing brake, basically. It's going to destroy its range. I don't think anyone really wants to do that. They don't even have it an actual outdoor setting. It looks kind of beautiful, though. I think it'll be a nice, modern Mad Max design. A lot of people will love to take it in the beautiful suburban parks around major cities in the West. I think it will be a hit. If they do that design, it won't actually ever be off-roaded. The range will get destroyed by it. And that range won't be enough to actually go that far outdoors if you do something like that. But, it looks cute. It looks good, 100%. I do enjoy it. I think it looks great. So, one thing about cars, electric cars, they tend to be fast. I've yet to be disappointed by an electric car and their feeling acceleration. When you drive something like a Model 3, I own cars or have owned cars that are faster than a Model 3, the base one. I drive that, and the instant acceleration does feel, roller coaster like, as people say. It does feel zippity, especially how they deliver the throttle will change. But the EX30 is rear-wheel drive base at start, 268 horsepower, which, for a fairly chunky vehicle, it's an electric vehicle, but not that huge, is going to be plenty of power. A lot of people drive high 3,000 pound, low 4,000 pound vehicles with around 200 horsepower less. So this thing's going to be pretty quick. They do have a version of it coming out with over 400 horsepower, all-wheel drive, in 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. I think most people that read car articles like me, that follow this stuff day in, day out, which is my intention of this, is basically, this is a car article that you just listen to at work or something like that instead of actually reading. Electric cars are insanely fast. And it's almost boring and mind-numbing to bring up. You can think of just BMW M3s not that long ago. 4 seconds 0 to 60 was very impressive. Supercar territory. And this is now in the entry-level Volvo hatchback CUV. It's pretty wild. It will be a one-trick pony and fun, but it will be a very nice experience. I think for people with this small wheelbase, it may be a bit much at times, but it's there. And especially in this little off-road version, all-wheel drive, people are gonna go off the road, not off the road like a trail. They're gonna be in traffic, stuck, and they're gonna be on the highway and seeing the road on the side and trucks going off there and getting on that road, they're going to join in and, floor it, not knowing you shouldn't go that fast when you're going downhill and hurt some things. But a 200 plus mile range, I don't think it's going to be much more than that. Yeah, they're saying claim 275 mile range, but I don't know if it doesn't say if it's all-wheel drive version. The base rear-wheel drive version is all going to be over 200 miles range. If you drive it more passionately, like you might, then it will definitely get less than the 275. So you're going to get at least 200 miles of range out of this, most likely. And I think for most people, that's fine. I think this is a fine choice, a fine alternative to the base Model 3. I think this hits a price point without tax incentives, which people do take into account. But at the same time, if you're buying something and the list price shows this, even with the discounts, there's an innate feeling like you're kind of going over versus a vehicle that starts at a more reasonable number. Average price of a new car in the U.S. In 2022 was about 46 grand. So this hitting well under that, and option up probably hits that figure, if not a little more, is much more comfortable. And I feel like a lot of people are going to get more. They're going to feel like they got more for their money. The sound system. There's mentions to the sound system. Honestly, I don't trust OEM sound systems no more. No matter what branding they use, it's usually quality is not the main concern. It's more buying the name. But I will admit that Volvo has done very good sound design, especially on their sedans, like the S60 and the S90 recently. How they built up their subwoofers, stuff like that, and they have done very good audio quality. I have also been in their older, well, not that older, like first year's release S90s. And it was tinny, and it wasn't great. I don't know 100% where it's going to be, but while I don't trust their sound system 100%, I do think it'll be better than a non-luxury brand with the premium option most of the time. I do trust them a little bit more for those attention to details. But overall, it's a compelling product for the price, and that's everything for a car. Price is king, and it looks like a good package, good range, relatively, right? Wish it was over 300, but it's hitting that mark almost, or at least in the mid 200s. That's plenty for a lot of people, especially if you're just going around town, around the city on a weekend. You're gonna feel somewhat confident you can get back home and not much problem. No Tesla superchargers, nothing like that, but this is for the design for is more for a city dweller or a suburban, so I think that's fine. So looks like it has a pretty good packaging, decent space in general. The materials I trust going to be pretty good. They're going to be environmentally friendly and all that, so they're not going to be as luxurious as Napa leather all over the place, stuff like that. But if you get in a Volvo and you touch around, I don't think it's bad. I think there's an attention to detail, an intent, right? Maybe not the best, but you could see the reasoning behind it. And I think that stands for something. There's going to be cheaper plastics on it. I could tell by the rendering of the images underneath the armrest and the bottom part of it. It's going to be an economy car style. But for this price, you're hitting, high-end Honda Civic, non-performance versions. Starting off, I think most people are going to be pretty happy about the quality. I think the build quality would be better than a Tesla Model 3. I actually almost bought one. And I thought their interiors, at least this last year, this current design, the materials themselves, maybe not the fit and finish, was very good. And it felt, entry-level luxury. I mean, I've been in an Audi A3, and I think they do very cost-cutting Volkswagen premium feel. And I'm certain that the Volvo is going to be better than something like Volkswagen recently. I think they're going to be pretty close to the Tesla. More mixed materials, maybe not as plush, but pretty good. And with all that, with the performance, with the interior, with the brand recognition and where it's at. You got to remember, this is a CUV. I think of Ioniq 5 competition, Tesla Model Y competition. This is vastly cheaper than either one of those. And it looks really good. They are playing to their advantages. Some people in America may not like that it's made in China. They're owned by BYD. I don't think that's going to be that huge of a deal for a lot of people. It does show the strength of the cost over there to bring over here without tax incentives. Especially if you look at the market for like brands there like NIO and BYD, what they can do relatively. And they have a lot of potential with this product. Their infrastructure around the country, their dealerships like that, it's gonna limit them. This isn't gonna be a watermark car. It's already a bit under the radar, despite its price and despite how appealing it looks like. But I think for a lot of people that do research into this market, for this price, for this size, are going to see this as a really good value. There's going to be some downsides, especially with the user interface, especially as it gets older. That single screen, Tesla is a little negligent with their stuff, but I think the quality you start with is a cut above. Think of like an iPad Pro you'd buy versus a very nice Samsung tablet. The Samsung tablets are still very good, but maybe not exactly the best. Maybe not the best support. The Android based is supposed to be better. I've owned Androids. Aging isn't always the prime thing. Some are great, but you have to go high enough. I don't know with the hardware, with the processor in this, if it's going to hold up to the test of time. However, a lot of Volvos have had very complex engines recently. Superchargers, turbochargers, all in one. This being a simple electric car, I'm imagining it's going to be a lot more reliable, and it's going to be very, even if it's not reliable, I think it's going to be very reasonable with that. I think this is going to be a very interesting car. I think it's something to keep an eye on for the price. If this is your thing, if you want a commuter electric car with decent range, and for the price, again, it's worth a look. But anyways, thank you for watching. This is my channel now. It does car news-ish. Basically, anything that comes out that's more mundane and less popular than, think of like a brand new Corvette or something. Like the stuff you read in articles, like I do every day. That's what this is. This is just something to kick back, relax to. Hear someone talk about it and explain this to you, have some thoughts and opinions. Nothing serious, and just enjoy cars together. So, thank you for watching. Take care.